The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched for miles in every direction. Crystalline walls rose high into the artificial sky, their surfaces reflecting the light of 1,000 different suns. Representatives from across the galaxy sat in their designated sections, each species maintaining careful distance from the others. The air hummed with translation devices working overtime to convert the cacophony of alien languages into something resembling order. Captain Sarah Chun stood at the center of it all, feeling very small and very human. Her dark blue uniform bore the emblem of Earth's United Nations, a symbol that meant nothing to the beings surrounding her. She had been chosen to represent humanity's application for membership in the Galactic Council, the governing body that oversaw trade, diplomacy, and territorial rights across known space. Behind her stood her small delegation: Dr. Marcus Webb, Earth's leading xenobiologist, Commander James Rodriguez, their military advisor, and Ambassador Liu Wei, their most experienced diplomat. They had traveled for months to reach this moment, crossing the vast emptiness between Earth and the Council's capital world of Nexus Prime. The Vorthak delegate was speaking, its voice a series of clicks and whistles that the translators rendered into monotone English. The species known as humans lacked the necessary technological advancement for Council membership. Their fastest ships barely achieve zero point 0.7 light speed. Their energy production remains primitive, still dependent on fusion reactions. Sarah's jaw tightened. Humanity had worked for decades to reach this point. They had developed faster-than-light travel, established colonies on 12 worlds, and made peaceful contact with 17 different species. Yet here, they were being dismissed like children asking to sit at the adult table. The Etherian representative floated above its designated platform, its translucent body pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. More concerning is their violent nature. Our analysis of human history reveals constant warfare, genocide, and environmental destruction. They show no signs of evolving beyond their primitive aggressive impulses. A murmur rippled through the assembly. Sarah felt the weight of their judgment pressing down on her. She had expected skepticism, but the casual dismissal stung more than she had anticipated. The Zephyrian delegate, a tall being with 4 arms and skin like polished stone, added its voice to the growing chorus of disapproval. Furthermore, humans showed disturbing tendencies toward rapid expansion and territorial acquisition. In a mere 50 years since achieving interstellar flight, they have established settlements on multiple worlds without proper authorization or environmental impact assessments. Sarah stepped forward, her voice carrying clearly through the hall's acoustics. Honorable delegates, if I may respond to these concerns. The council's speaker, an ancient being known only as the Arbiter, gestured for silence. Its form was humanoid, but clearly artificial, a creation of the long-extinct precursors who had established the council eons ago. The applicant species may present their defense. Sarah straightened her shoulders and began. Respected members of the council, humanity acknowledges our youth as a spacefaring species. Yes, our technology may seem primitive compared to civilizations that have existed for millennia. But we have achieved in 50 years what many species take centuries to accomplish. She activated a holographic display showing Earth's expansion into space. Our rapid growth is not reckless expansion, but the careful establishment of sustainable colonies to ensure our species' survival. We have encountered no intelligent life on the worlds we've settled, and we conduct thorough environmental surveys before any permanent habitation. The Vorthak delegate clicked dismissively. Survival instincts driving territorial expansion. Precisely the behavior we seek to prevent in council species. Sarah continued, undeterred. As for our violent history, we do not deny the conflicts in our past. But consider this, despite having the technology to destroy our entire planet for over a century, we chose not to. We unified our world government, ended large-scale warfare, and directed our competitive instincts toward exploration and scientific advancement. Dr. Webb stepped forward, adding his support. Human scientific achievement in the last century has been remarkable. We've made breakthrough discoveries in quantum mechanics, genetic engineering, and artificial intelligence. Our researchers have already contributed to the galactic scientific community. The Etherians' bioluminescent patterns shifted to what their translators indicated was skepticism. Artificial intelligence development is particularly concerning. Many species have fallen to their own AI creations. Commander Rodriguez spoke up. Our AI development has been careful and ethical. We've established strict protocols and safeguards. Our AI systems serve as partners, not masters. The Zephyrian delegates' forearms gestured dismissively. Words are simple to speak. Actions reveal truth. Humans have shown aggression toward other spacefaring species. Sarah frowned. That's not accurate. We've maintained peaceful relations with all species we've encountered. Incorrect, the Zephyrian continued. The incident with the Kalari merchants near the Proxima system. Human vessels fired upon Kalari ships. Sarah's blood ran cold. She had heard reports of the incident, but hadn't expected it to reach the Council. The Kalari ships were attempting to board and capture human civilian vessels. Our escorts responded to protect innocent lives. The Kalari were conducting lawful salvage operations. The Vorthak delegate interjected. Human vessels had entered Kalari territorial space without permission. That space was not claimed by any species according to galactic charts. Ambassador Liu protested. We followed all established protocols for passage through unclaimed systems. The Arbiter's artificial voice cut through the growing tension. The Council has reviewed the Kalari incident extensively. While the territorial claim dispute remains unresolved, the human response was deemed disproportionate to the threat. Sarah felt the room slipping away from her. Every argument, every carefully prepared point seemed to crumble against the wall of preconceived notions surrounding them. The delegate species had clearly made their decision before humanity even arrived. The Crystalline Collective's representative, a being that looked like living diamond, added its voice to the discussion. Beyond specific incidents, human psychology itself presents concerns. Species analysis indicates humans possess unusual levels of persistence and adaptability. These traits, while potentially beneficial, also suggest unpredictability. Dr. Webb couldn't contain his incredulity. You're criticizing us for being adaptable and persistent? Those are positive survival traits. For a predator species seeking to expand its territory, the Etherian replied. The Council seeks stable, predictable members who will maintain galactic peace. Sarah realized they were fighting a losing battle. The Council didn't want humanity to join their ranks. They wanted to contain humanity to limit their growth and influence. The application process was merely a formality, a way to officially document their rejection. The Arbiter called for order as discussions began to fragment into side conversations among the various species. The Council will now deliberate on humanity's application. The applicant delegation will await our decision. Sarah and her team were escorted to a waiting chamber adjacent to the main hall. The room was comfortable enough, with seating arranged for various alien physiologies, but it felt more like a holding cell than a diplomatic lounge. Well, that went about as badly as possible, Commander Rodriguez muttered, slumping into one of the human-compatible chairs. Dr. Webb paced the small space. Did you hear what they said? They're afraid of us because we're adaptable and persistent. What kind of logic is that? Ambassador Liu remained standing, his diplomatic training keeping his expression neutral. The logic of species who have grown comfortable with their established order. Humanity represents change, and change is threatening to those who benefit from the status quo. Sarah stood at the chamber's single window, looking out at the sprawling city of Nexus Prime. Alien architecture stretched to the horizon, a testament to the cooperative achievements possible when species work together. But that cooperation apparently didn't extend to newcomers who might upset the established hierarchy. How long do you think they'll keep us waiting? She asked. Protocol suggests a minimum deliberation period of 4 standard hours, Liu replied. Though, given the tenor of the discussion, I suspect their minds are already made up. Hours passed in tense silence. Occasionally, one of them would attempt conversation, but the weight of impending rejection made small talk feel hollow. They had spent years preparing for this moment, building humanity's case for council membership. The resources committed to this effort represented a significant portion of Earth's interstellar budget. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the Arbiter appeared in their chamber via holographic projection. Its artificial features remained impassive as it delivered the Council's verdict. The Galactic Council has reached its decision regarding humanity's application for membership, it announced. By a vote of 47 species in favor of rejection and 3 abstentions, humanity's application is hereby denied. The words hit Sarah like a physical blow, even though she had expected them. What are the specific reasons for rejection? Insufficient technological development, concerning behavioral patterns indicating potential aggression, and rapid territorial expansion suggesting destabilizing influence on galactic order. The Arbiter recited in its emotionless tone. Dr. Webb stepped forward. What would humanity need to do to be reconsidered for membership? The Arbiter's projection flickered slightly. Humanity may reapply for council membership after demonstrating 1,000 years of peaceful development and technological advancement while maintaining current territorial boundaries. 1,000 years. Sarah felt the breath leave her lungs. They were essentially being told to sit in the corner and wait for a millennium while the rest of the galaxy moved forward without them. That's unacceptable, she said, her diplomatic training finally cracking. You're condemning humanity to second-class status indefinitely. The Council's decision is final, the Arbiter replied. Transport will be provided for your return journey to Earth within the standard diplomatic time frame. The projection vanished, leaving the 4 humans alone with their defeat. Commander Rodriguez broke the silence first. 1,000 years. They might as well have said never. Ambassador Liu's diplomatic composure finally cracked. This was never about our qualifications. They've decided humanity is a threat to their established order. Sarah turned from the window, her mind racing beyond the immediate disappointment. Maybe that's exactly what we are. Dr. Webb looked at her sharply. What do you mean? Think about what they said. We're too adaptable, too persistent, too quick to expand and innovate. Those aren't criticisms of our weaknesses. They're fears about our strengths. She began to pace the small chamber, energy building behind her words. They want to keep us contained because they know that in a few hundred years, we might outpace civilizations that have been stagnant for millennia. We represent change, and they've built their entire system around preventing change. Commander Rodriguez sat up straighter. So what are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that maybe we don't need their approval, Sarah said, her voice growing stronger. Maybe what we need is to prove that their fears are justified. The implications of her words settled over the group. They had come seeking membership in an exclusive club, only to be told they would never be welcome. But perhaps that rejection was actually an opportunity. The Council controls trade routes, territory allocation, and resource rights across known space, Liu pointed out. Operating outside their system would be extremely difficult. Difficult? Not impossible, Sarah replied. Humanity has faced difficult odds before. Dr. Webb's scientific mind was already working through the possibilities. We need to accelerate our technological development significantly. Find ways to compete with species who have had millennia to advance. We need military strength too, Rodriguez added. The Council won't just let us ignore their authority. There will be consequences. Sarah nodded grimly. Then, we'd better be ready for them. She moved to the chamber's communication console and activated a secure channel to Earth. The transmission would take several hours to reach home, but her message was simple. Humanity had been rejected by the Galactic Council, and it was time to chart their own course among the stars. As they waited for their transport home, Sarah found herself thinking about humanity's history. Every great achievement had come through adversity. They had explored dangerous oceans, climbed impossible mountains, and reached for the stars despite overwhelming odds. Being rejected by an alien council was just another obstacle to overcome. The Galactic Council had made a mistake. They had assumed that rejection would humble humanity, force them to accept a subordinate position in galactic society. Instead, they had given humanity something far more dangerous: motivation to prove them wrong. The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks aboard the Council transport, a sleek vessel that demonstrated the very technological superiority the aliens had used to justify humanity's rejection. But Sarah spent those weeks not dwelling on what they lacked, but planning how to acquire it. When Earth finally appeared in the viewport, Sarah felt a surge of determination. The blue and white marble hanging in space represented more than just humanity's homeworld. It was the birthplace of a species that had never accepted limitations, never surrendered to impossible odds. The Galactic Council wanted humanity to wait 1,000 years. They would show the galaxy what humans could accomplish in a fraction of that time. The real work was just beginning. The emergency session of Earth's United Nations Security Council convened within hours of Sarah Chen's return. The vast assembly hall buzzed with tension as delegates from every nation gathered to hear the report from humanity's first diplomatic mission to the Galactic Council. Sarah stood at the central podium, her uniform still bearing the dust of alien worlds, her face bearing the weight of rejection. Secretary General Maria Santos called for order, her voice echoing through the chamber. "Captain Chun, please present your report on humanity's application to the Galactic Council." Sarah activated the holographic display, showing images from their journey to Nexus Prime. The assembled delegates leaned forward, eager for details of their first official contact with galactic civilization. What they heard instead was a catalog of dismissal and condescension. "The Council rejected our application by a margin of 47-0, with 3 abstentions," Sarah announced, her voice steady despite the disappointment. The stated reasons were insufficient technological advancement, concerning behavioral patterns, and rapid territorial expansion. A murmur rippled through the assembly. The Chinese delegate, Minister Zhou Wei, raised her hand. "Captain Chun, what specific technological requirements did they identify?" Dr. Webb stepped forward to assist with the technical details. "They considered our faster-than-light capability primitive. Most Council species achieve speeds of 2 to 3 times light speed. Our fusion power systems were deemed outdated compared to their matter conversion and exotic energy sources." "How far behind are we?" asked the Russian representative, General Volkov. "Functionally, about 2 to 3 centuries," Dr. Webb admitted. "But that assumes linear technological development. Human innovation has historically been exponential rather than linear." The British delegate, Prime Minister Harrison, leaned forward. "What about the behavioral concerns? What specific actions did they cite?" Commander Rodriguez took this question. "They focused primarily on the Calari incident near Proxima Centauri. They also referenced our history of warfare and what they called aggressive expansion patterns. The Calari incident involved protecting civilian vessels from piracy," the American Secretary of State pointed out. "How is that aggressive behavior?" "The Council doesn't see it that way," Sarah replied. "They've classified it as disproportionate response to a territorial dispute. But the real issue isn't our actions. It's their perception of human nature itself." She manipulated the holographic display to show recordings from the Council session. The alien delegates' words filled the chamber, their casual dismissal of humanity's achievements striking the assembled leaders like physical blows. The German Chancellor, Dr. Hoffmann, stood to address the assembly. "The economic implications of this rejection are severe. Council membership provides access to trade routes, advanced technologies, and resource-sharing agreements. Without these advantages, our colonies will struggle to remain competitive." Minister Santos nodded grimly. "Our economic projections assumed Council membership within 5 years. This changes everything." Sarah watched the delegates grapple with the implications. Earth's colonial expansion had been predicated on eventual integration into the galactic economy. Without council membership, they faced isolation in an increasingly connected galaxy. The Indian representative, Dr. Patel, raised a crucial point. What about reapplication? Surely this isn't permanent. The council suggested we could reapply after demonstrating 1,000 years of peaceful development while maintaining our current territorial boundaries, Sarah said, letting the absurdity of the timeline sink in. The chamber erupted in outraged voices. 1,000 years might as well be forever in political terms. No current government or administration could plan for such distant horizons. That's completely unreasonable, the Brazilian delegate protested. They're essentially demanding we halt all expansion and wait for 40 generations. The Japanese representative, Ambassador Tanaka, asked the question everyone was thinking. What are our alternatives? Sarah exchanged glances with her team. This was the moment they had been preparing for during their journey home. We believe humanity has 3 options. First, accept the Council's decision and halt expansion while focusing on internal development. Second, ignore the Council entirely and continue expansion at our own pace. Third, actively compete with the Council by creating our own interstellar alliance. The chamber fell silent as the implications of each option settled over the delegates. Option 1 meant stagnation. Option 2 meant conflict. Option 3 meant revolution. The French delegate, Minister Du Bois, broke the silence. Creating our own alliance would require partners. What species would join us against the established galactic order? Dr. Webb had anticipated this question. Our surveys indicate at least 12 species who have been denied council membership or accepted only as junior partners with limited rights. The Kalari themselves, despite the incident, have shown interest in independent trade relationships. The Nexari collective has been excluded from the council for over 2 centuries. The Andorian free traders maintain neutral status specifically because they oppose council trade restrictions, Ambassador Liu added. Several species have expressed frustration with council policies, but lack the strength to challenge them individually. General Volkov leaned back in his chair. An alliance implies military cooperation. Are we prepared for war with the Galactic Council? Commander Rodriguez answered carefully. The Council maintains peace through economic leverage rather than military force. Most Council species have minimal military capabilities. They've grown complacent during centuries of peace. That doesn't answer the question, Volkov pressed. Could we win? Unknown, Rodriguez admitted. But conflict might not be necessary. If we can demonstrate economic and technological alternatives to council membership, we might convince other species to join us voluntarily. Dr. Hoffman raised another concern. The technological gap you mentioned. How do we bridge centuries of development in a reasonable time frame? Sarah smiled for the first time since returning to Earth. That's where human ingenuity becomes our greatest asset. The council species have been incremental improvers for millennia. They advance slowly and cautiously. Humans have historically made breakthrough leaps that bypass entire technological generations. She activated new displays showing human technological progress over the past century. We went from powered flight to moon landing in 66 years. From first computers to artificial intelligence in 70 years. From nuclear fission to fusion power in 80 years. Dr. Webb stepped forward to elaborate. More importantly, we've identified several promising research directions that council species have ignored or abandoned. Quantum computing, biological integration, and dimensional physics all show potential for revolutionary advances. The Council's risk-averse nature has actually limited their technological development, Sarah continued. They perfect existing technologies rather than pursuing radical innovations. That gives us an opportunity to leapfrog their capabilities. Minister Santos called for a brief recess to allow private consultations among the national delegations. Sarah and her team waited in an adjacent conference room, knowing that the decisions made here would determine humanity's future among the stars. When the session reconvened, the atmosphere had shifted. The initial shock of rejection had transformed into something more dangerous: determination. Secretary General Santos addressed the assembly. After consultation, the member nations have reached a consensus. Earth's government officially rejects the Galactic Council's authority over human expansion and development. The declaration sent a ripple of excitement through the chamber. Humanity was essentially declaring independence from galactic civilization. Santos continued, "Furthermore, we hereby authorize the establishment of the Terran Alliance, an interstellar organization dedicated to promoting free trade, technological advancement, and mutual defense among spacefaring species." Sarah felt her heart race. They were actually doing it. Humanity was going to challenge the established galactic order. The American Secretary of State presented the operational framework they had developed during recess. The alliance will be headquartered on Luna Station, with secondary bases established at our major colonial worlds. Membership will be open to any species committed to technological progress and mutual cooperation. Economic incentives will include preferential trade agreements, shared technological development, and joint colonial ventures, the Chinese delegate added. The Russian representative outlined military cooperation. Alliance members will participate in joint defense initiatives and standardized fleet operations. Earth will provide initial military leadership, while other species contribute their unique capabilities. Dr. Hoffman addressed the technological challenge. Germany proposes the establishment of joint research facilities focused on breakthrough technologies. Human innovation combined with alien expertise could accelerate development significantly. Sarah realized they weren't just rejecting the Council's authority. They were creating a comprehensive alternative to the existing galactic system. What about species who remain neutral or loyal to the Council? The Brazilian delegate asked. "We maintain peaceful relationships with all species willing to respect Alliance sovereignty," Santos replied. "This isn't about conquest. It's about providing alternatives to Council hegemony." The British Prime Minister raised a practical concern. How do we begin recruiting Alliance members? We'll need to approach species carefully to avoid Council interference. Sarah stepped forward again. "My team has already identified potential partners. Dr. Webb and Ambassador Liu will lead diplomatic missions to species who have expressed frustration with Council policies. Commander Rodriguez will establish communication with independent military organizations. The Calari incident actually works in our favor," Liu added. "Several species see it as evidence that humans won't surrender to Council pressure. They respect strength more than compliance." The Indian representative brought up a crucial point. What happens when the Council realizes what we're doing? They won't simply allow us to build a rival organization. They'll try to stop us, Rodriguez acknowledged. Economic sanctions first, then diplomatic isolation. Eventually, they might resort to military pressure, which is why we need to move quickly, Sarah said. The faster we build alliance capabilities, the stronger our position becomes. Santos called for a formal vote on the alliance proposal. The result was unanimous. Humanity would forge its own path among the stars. As the session concluded, Sarah felt the weight of what they had just committed to. They were no longer seeking acceptance from the galactic community. They were preparing to reshape it entirely. The following weeks saw frantic activity across Earth's government and military establishments. The lunar shipyards expanded production to build vessels designed for alliance operations. Research facilities redirected their efforts toward breakthrough technologies. Diplomatic teams prepared for missions to potential alliance partners. Sarah found herself appointed as the alliance's first director general, responsible for coordinating the massive undertaking. Her office on Luna Station provided a view of Earth that reminded her daily of what they were fighting to protect and advance. Dr. Webb's xenobiology expertise made him the ideal candidate to lead first contact efforts with potential alliance species. His team began reaching out to the Nexari Collective, whose distributed intelligence networks had been excluded from Council membership for being too different from traditional hierarchical species. Commander Rodriguez took charge of military preparations, working with Admiral Zhang to develop fleet doctrines suitable for alliance operations. Unlike Council species who relied on individual ship superiority, human military thinking emphasized coordinated group tactics and rapid deployment. Ambassador Liu began the delicate process of approaching species with existing Council relationships. The Andorian free traders proved surprisingly receptive to alliance overtures, as did several minor species who felt marginalized by Council policies. 3 months after the rejection at Nexus Prime, Sarah received the first major breakthrough. The Kalari, despite their previous conflict with humanity, requested formal discussions about alliance membership. They're impressed by our refusal to back down after the Council rejection, Liu reported during their weekly planning session. The Kalari respect species who stand up for themselves. What are they offering? Sarah asked. Advanced materials technology and access to their trade networks in the Outer Rim systems, Dr. Webb answered. Their crystalline manipulation techniques could revolutionize our construction capabilities. The Nexri Collective proved even more valuable as potential allies. Their biological computing systems could integrate with human artificial intelligence to create hybrid networks impossible for traditional Council species to match. The Nexri are excited about our research into quantum consciousness, Dr. Webb reported. They believe human brain structure might be compatible with their collective intelligence protocols. Sarah authorized the first joint research project between humanity and the Nexri, establishing a secure facility on Titan to explore consciousness technology integration. The implications were staggering. Hybrid human Nexri teams might achieve mental processing capabilities far beyond anything Council species possessed. Meanwhile, Commander Rodriguez reported progress in military preparations. The new Alliance fleet doctrine emphasizes speed and coordination over raw firepower. Our smaller, faster ships can outmaneuver Council heavy vessels while maintaining communication links impossible for traditional alien fleets. What about defensive capabilities? Sarah asked. We're integrating Kalari crystalline armor with human shield technology. The combination should provide protection superior to anything Council species use, Rodriguez explained. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Webb's team discovered that human neural patterns were uniquely suited to interfacing with Nexri biological computers. While Council species had rigid mental structures that resisted integration, human adaptability allowed seamless connection with alien systems. We're calling it the neural bridge, Dr. Webb explained during a demonstration at the Titan facility. A human operator can access Nexri processing power while maintaining individual consciousness. It's like having a computer that thinks. Sarah watched in amazement as test subjects demonstrated capabilities that bordered on telepathy. Humans connected to Nexri systems could process vast amounts of information instantaneously, coordinate complex operations across multiple locations, and even communicate directly with Nexri collectives. This changes everything, she realized. We're not just building better technology. We're evolving human capability itself. The implications for fleet operations were revolutionary. Human captains connected to Nexri systems could coordinate entire battle groups with perfect precision. They could process tactical information in real time and adapt to changing conditions faster than any traditional command structure. The Council has never seen anything like this, Commander Rodriguez observed. They think in terms of individual ships with individual commanders. We're creating something entirely new. 6 months after forming the alliance, Sarah reviewed their progress with a mixture of pride and apprehension. They had recruited 4 species as full members, with 6 more expressing serious interest. Joint research projects were producing technological breakthroughs at an unprecedented pace. Military preparations were ahead of schedule. But the Galactic Council had begun to take notice. Council trade vessels are avoiding systems with Alliance presence, Ambassador Liu reported. They're pressuring neutral species to choose sides. Economic sanctions are having some effect on our Outer Rim colonies, the economic advisor added. But alliance trade relationships are compensating for most losses. Sarah studied the strategic displays showing alliance territory versus council influence. They had established a significant presence in the outer spiral arms, areas the council had largely ignored due to their distance from major trade routes. We're building something the council never expected, she realized. They assumed we'd either submit or remain isolated. Instead, we're creating a viable alternative to their entire system. The test would come soon. Council pressure was mounting, and several alliance species reported increasing harassment of their vessels. The question wasn't whether conflict would come, but when and how devastating it would be. Sarah looked out at the stars visible from Luna Station, each point of light representing worlds where human and alien species were working together to build something new. The Galactic Council had rejected humanity because they feared change. Soon, they would learn just how right they had been to be afraid the attack came without warning at the edge of the Kepler system, where Alliance forces were establishing a new research station. The Council fleet dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, 12 heavy cruisers and their escort vessels, their hulls gleaming with the insignia of 5 different Council species. Admiral Zhang Wei received the emergency transmission aboard his flagship, the UES Defiant, while reviewing tactical exercises with his staff. The holographic display suddenly filled with urgent signals from the Kepler system, 27 light-years away. Admiral, we're receiving a priority distress call from Research Station Kepler 7, his communications officer announced. Alliance vessels under attack by Council forces. Zhang's blood ran cold. They had expected Council retaliation eventually, but not this soon and not this brazenly. Battle stations. Signal all fleet elements to converge on Kepler system. Maximum burn. The Defiant's neural bridge hummed to life as human operators interfaced with Nexary biological computers. Within seconds, Admiral Zhang could perceive the tactical situation across multiple star systems simultaneously. His consciousness expanded to encompass dozens of Alliance vessels scattered across local space. Through the enhanced awareness provided by the Nexary link, Zhang could feel the terror and determination of the crews under attack at Kepler 7. The research station housed joint human-Nexary consciousness experiments and Calari crystal manufacturing facilities. Its loss would set Alliance research back by months. Estimated travel time to Kepler system? Zhang asked through the neural link, his thoughts transmitted instantly to navigation computers. 4 hours at maximum quantum drive output came the response directly into his consciousness. Too long, Zhang realized. The station would be destroyed or captured long before Alliance reinforcements arrived. Then, inspiration struck. The neural bridge didn't just allow coordination of existing forces. It enabled entirely new tactical possibilities. Communications established neural link with Captain Reeves aboard the UES Concordia, Zhang ordered. Priority Alpha connection. Captain Jessica Reeves commanded the Alliance's most advanced stealth vessel, currently conducting reconnaissance near Council space. Through the neural bridge, Zhang could share not just orders, but complete tactical awareness with her. Admiral, Reeves' thoughts appeared in his consciousness, carrying undertones of urgency and readiness. I'm reading the Kepler situation through the link. What are your orders? Concordia is 18 hours closer to Kepler than we are, Zhang transmitted back. Can you reach the system before the station falls? Affirmative, but Concordia against 12 Council cruisers is suicide, Reeves replied. Not if we fight smart, Zhang countered. Prepare for quantum consciousness transfer. What Zhang proposed had never been attempted in combat. The neural bridge theoretically allowed experienced commanders to share awareness across any distance, but the procedure was still experimental. If it worked, Zhang could command both his fleet and Reeves' vessel simultaneously, creating a coordinated attack across multiple star systems. Dr. Webb's voice crackled through conventional communications from his laboratory on Titan. Admiral, quantum consciousness transfer over interstellar distances is extremely dangerous. We've never tested neural bridge connections beyond light speed limitations. Doctor, those people at Kepler 7 are going to die if we don't try something unprecedented, Zhang replied grimly. The Nexari collective responded through the neural bridge, their thoughts a harmony of agreement. Human consciousness shows unusual resilience. Quantum transfer may succeed where other species would fail. Zhang made his decision. Initiate transfer protocol. I'm going to personally command the Concordia's attack, while maintaining fleet coordination from here. The neural bridge chamber filled with exotic energy as Nexari biological computers interfaced with quantum communication systems. Zhang felt his consciousness stretch across space, reaching toward Kepler's system, where Captain Reeves waited aboard her stealth vessel. The sensation was unlike anything in human experience. Zhang could simultaneously perceive the Defiance bridge around him and the Concordia's command center 27 light-years away. Through Reeves' enhanced senses, he could see the Council fleet attacking Kepler 7. The Council forces were conducting a methodical assault, their heavy cruisers systematically destroying Alliance defensive installations, while smaller vessels moved to board the research station. They clearly intended to capture Alliance technology and personnel rather than simply eliminate them. They want our research data, Zhang realized through the quantum link. The neural bridge technology and Nexari integration protocols. Through Reeves' sensors, he studied the Council fleet formation. 12 heavy cruisers arranged in a defensive sphere around the station, with lighter vessels conducting boarding operations. It was a standard Council siege formation, designed to prevent reinforcement from reaching the target. But the Council commanders had never faced human tactical innovation enhanced by alien consciousness integration. Captain Reeves, prepare for multi-vector assault. Zhang transmitted through quantum consciousness. We're going to hit them from directions they never anticipated. Zhang's enhanced awareness allowed him to perceive weaknesses in the Council formation that no single commander could have spotted. The cruisers maintained perfect spacing to provide mutual fire support, but that same spacing created blind spots that a sufficiently fast and maneuverable vessel could exploit. Concordia moving to attack position, Reeves acknowledged. All stealth systems active. The Concordia was humanity's first vessel designed entirely around Alliance technology. Calari crystalline armor provided protection while remaining nearly invisible to Council sensors. Nexari biological computers allowed instantaneous tactical adjustments. Human engineering created unprecedented speed and maneuverability. Zhang guided the vessel through a complex approach vector that exploited gravitational shadows and stellar magnetic fields to remain undetected. Through the quantum link, he could simultaneously monitor the battle at Kepler 7 and coordinate his approaching fleet 27 light-years away. The attack began with surgical precision. Concordia emerged from stealth directly beneath the Council formation, her weapons targeting the command ship's most vulnerable points. Zhang's enhanced perception allowed perfect timing, striking just as the Council vessels were adjusting formation to respond to new defensive positions around the station. The first Council cruiser died before its crew realized they were under attack. Concordia's weapons, enhanced with Calari crystal focusing arrays, punched through shields and armor that should have been impenetrable. The massive vessel broke apart in a cascade of explosions. Impossible, came a transmission from the Council fleet commander. No, the Alliance vessel has firepower sufficient to penetrate our defenses. Zhang smiled grimly through the quantum link. The Council still thought in terms of individual ship capabilities. They couldn't comprehend the force multiplication achieved through consciousness integration and real-time tactical coordination. Concordia danced through the Council formation like a ghost, too fast for their targeting systems and too unpredictable for their tactical computers. Every movement was perfectly calculated through Zhang's enhanced awareness, accounting for dozens of variables simultaneously. The second Council cruiser fell to a coordinated assault that used the station's own defensive systems. Through the neural bridge, Zhang briefly connected with Alliance personnel trapped aboard Kepler-7, coordinating their efforts with Concordia's attack. The result was a devastating crossfire that overwhelmed the cruiser's shields. Council forces are withdrawing, Reeves reported through the quantum link. But they're targeting the station for destruction rather than allowing capture. Zhang perceived the Council commander's intentions through tactical analysis enhanced by Nexary processing power. Rather than lose face by retreating empty-handed, the Council fleet intended to eliminate all evidence of Alliance technology and research. Not acceptable, Zhang transmitted. Prepare for final assault. What followed defied conventional military logic. Zhang divided his consciousness between Concordia's systems and the approaching Alliance fleet, creating a temporal coordination matrix that linked present combat with future reinforcements. Through quantum consciousness, he began transmitting real-time tactical data to Admiral Martinez aboard the UES Endeavour, still 3 hours away from Kepler system. Martinez could perceive the battle through Zhang's enhanced awareness, allowing him to preposition his forces for maximum effect upon arrival. Meanwhile, Concordia executed an attack pattern that seemed suicidal until viewed through multidimensional tactical awareness. The vessel charged directly at the Council flagship, while Zhang simultaneously coordinated defensive fire from Kepler-7 and planned reinforcement arrival vectors. The Council commander, Admiral Thexkar of the Vorthak Navy, finally realized what he was facing. Their tactical coordination is impossible. No single consciousness can process this level of complexity. But Zhang was no longer a single consciousness. The neural bridge had transformed him into something new, a hybrid human Nexary intelligence capable of perceiving and responding to tactical situations across multiple time frames simultaneously. Concordia's final assault shattered the Council formation. Enhanced by perfect tactical awareness, the vessel moved through predetermined positions that maximized damage while minimizing exposure to return fire. Council vessels found themselves firing at empty space as Concordia appeared and disappeared according to patterns their computers couldn't predict. The Council flagship's destruction marked the battle's turning point. Admiral Thexkar died, convinced that he faced some new form of artificial intelligence, never understanding that human consciousness enhanced by alien technology had created capabilities beyond traditional military comprehension. The surviving Council vessels retreated in disorder, abandoning their mission and leaving behind wreckage that told an alarming story. Alliance forces had achieved complete tactical superiority despite being outnumbered 12-1. As Zhang's consciousness returned fully to the Defiant, he felt the aftereffects of quantum neural bridging, a sense of expanded awareness that would never entirely fade. He had experienced combat through multiple perspectives simultaneously and commanded forces across interstellar distances in real time. Status report. He requested through conventional communications, still adjusting to single-body perception. Kepler-7 is secure, his tactical officer reported. Minimal casualties among station personnel. Council fleet completely routed. And the research data? Dr. Webb's voice carried relief and excitement. Not only protected, but enhanced. The quantum consciousness transfer generated new data about human neural adaptability that advances our research by months. Zhang reviewed the battle reports with growing amazement. The Alliance had achieved something unprecedented. Complete tactical victory over Council forces using revolutionary warfare methods. But the implications went far beyond single battle success. Patch me through to Director General Chun on Luna Station, Zhang ordered. Sarah appeared on the holographic display within minutes, her expression mixing concern and anticipation. Admiral, we received fragments of your battle reports. Please confirm. You achieved total victory over 12 Council cruisers with a single vessel. Confirmed, Zhang replied. But, Director General, this wasn't just military success. We've proven that human-alien consciousness integration creates capabilities the Council can't match or counter. Sarah absorbed the implications. They'll escalate. This victory makes us an existential threat to their entire system. Yes, Jean agreed. But it also proves we can win. The news of Kepler 7 spread throughout Alliance space within hours. Species that had hesitated to join the Alliance suddenly reconsidered their positions. The Andorian free traders formally requested full membership. The Nexari Collective authorized expanded consciousness-sharing protocols. But the victory also triggered the response Sarah had predicted. Within days, Council forces began massing at strategic points throughout their territory. Economic sanctions against Alliance systems intensified. Diplomatic pressure on neutral species reached unprecedented levels. The Galactic Council was mobilizing for war. In the chambers of Nexus Prime, emergency sessions debated humanity's unexpected capabilities. Species that had dismissed human military potential now demanded explanations for impossible tactical achievements. The humans have developed some form of collective consciousness, the Etherian delegate reported to the emergency assembly. Our analysis suggests technological integration with a Nexari species. Impossible, the Vorthack representative insisted. Nexari consciousness is incompatible with individual-focused species. Neural bridging would destroy any mind attempting such integration. Yet the evidence is undeniable, the Crystalline Collective added. Human tactical coordination at Kepler exceeded physical limitations for individual consciousness. The Arbiter's artificial voice cut through growing discussions. The Alliance represents a fundamental challenge to galactic stability. Their technological development threatens established order. What the Council failed to understand was that their fears were already obsolete. The battle at Kepler 7 had proven that human-alien integration created entirely new forms of consciousness and capability. The Alliance wasn't just building better technology. They were evolving beyond the biological limitations that constrain Council species. On Luna Station, Sarah Chun studied reports from across Alliance territory. New species were requesting membership daily. Joint research projects were producing breakthrough technologies weekly. Military coordination was reaching levels previously thought impossible. The Council has a choice, she told her senior staff during their strategic planning session. Accept the Alliance as equals in galactic affairs, or face competition they can't match. What if they choose neither? Commander Rodriguez asked. What if they decide elimination is preferable to coexistence? Sarah looked out at Earth hanging in the black sky, beautiful and vulnerable. Then, we'll show them why rejecting humanity was the greatest mistake in galactic history. The quantum consciousness experiments had revealed something remarkable about human neural structure. Unlike other species with fixed mental patterns, human brains could adapt and integrate with alien consciousness systems while maintaining individual identity. This unique capability made humans natural bridges between disparate alien civilizations. Dr. Webb's latest research suggested even more extraordinary possibilities. Preliminary data indicates that humans might be able to interface with multiple alien consciousness types simultaneously, he reported. We could become living links between species that otherwise cannot communicate effectively. The implications were staggering. Humans might become the foundation for unprecedented interspecies cooperation, creating alliance structures impossible for traditional galactic civilization. But first, they had to survive the coming war. As alliance forces prepared for inevitable Council retaliation, Zhang implemented training programs based on lessons from Kepler 7. Human officers learned to interface with Nexari biological computers while maintaining tactical awareness. Calari engineers shared crystalline technology integration techniques. Alliance vessels became platforms for consciousness-enhanced warfare. The next confrontation would determine whether the Alliance represented evolution or extinction. The Galactic Council commanded thousands of vessels, controlled established trade routes, and possessed technologies refined over millennia. But the Alliance had something the Council couldn't understand or counter: human adaptability combined with alien innovation, creating capabilities that transcended traditional limitations. The war for galactic freedom was about to begin. The Council's response came in the form of a massive fleet assembling at the edge of Alliance space. 200 vessels from 15 different species, representing the largest military force deployed in over 1,000 years of galactic peace. Their destination was clear, the heart of Alliance territory, beginning with the human colonies in the Outer Rim. Sarah Chun stood in the war room on Luna Station, surrounded by holographic displays showing the approaching threat. The neural bridge connecting her to Alliance command networks allowed her to perceive the crisis from multiple perspectives simultaneously. Through Nexary consciousness links, she could sense the fear and determination of colonists preparing for evacuation. Through Kalari crystal communications, she monitored the frantic construction of new defensive installations. Council fleet will reach the Tau Ceti system in 72 hours, Admiral Zhang reported through the quantum link. Colonial evacuation is proceeding, but we won't get everyone out in time. Sarah felt the weight of command pressing down on her. Tau Ceti housed nearly 50,000 Alliance colonists, including families who had joined the Alliance believing it could protect them from Council oppression. The approaching fleet outnumbered Alliance forces 10 to 1. Military options? She asked. Limited, Zhang admitted. We could evacuate the fleet and preserve our forces for later battles. Or we could make a stand that might buy time for a civilian evacuation. Neither option satisfied Sarah's enhanced tactical awareness. Through the neural bridge, she could perceive possibilities that pure human consciousness would have missed. The Alliance's greatest advantage wasn't military strength. It was adaptability and innovation. There's a third option, she announced. We don't fight the Council fleet. We convert it. The concept seemed impossible until viewed through multi-species consciousness integration. The Council fleet represented dozens of different species with varying levels of commitment to the war. Many had joined the expedition reluctantly, pressured by economic and political considerations rather than genuine belief in Council authority. Dr. Webb's voice joined the neural conference from his research station on Titan. The consciousness bridge technology could theoretically establish communication links with Council vessels. If we could demonstrate Alliance integration benefits directly, you're talking about battlefield diplomacy, Admiral Zhang observed. Making first contact with hostile forces during active combat. Not combat, Sarah corrected. Demonstration. The plan that emerged from their collective consciousness was unlike anything in military history. Instead of preparing for battle, Alliance forces would prepare for the largest first contact scenario ever attempted. They would use the Council attack as an opportunity to show every species in the galaxy what the Alliance could offer. The Nexary Collective committed their most advanced consciousness bridging technology to the effort. Kalari engineers provided communication crystals capable of penetrating any known shielding. Human tactical specialists developed approach vectors that would maximize demonstration impact while minimizing casualties. If this works, we end the war before it really begins, Sarah told her assembled commanders. If it fails, we lose everything. The Alliance fleet that assembled at Tau Ceti was unlike any force in galactic history. Instead of arranging for mutual fire support, vessels positioned themselves to create overlapping consciousness networks. Human commanders linked with Nexary collectives, Kalari crystal singers, and Andorian navigators in a symphony of integrated awareness. As the Council fleet dropped out of hyperspace, Admiral Zhang initiated the most ambitious neural bridge connection ever attempted. His consciousness expanded to encompass not just Alliance forces, but the quantum communication networks spanning Alliance territory. Through enhanced awareness, he could perceive the political and emotional states of species across known space. The Council fleet's commander, Supreme Admiral Karath of the Zephyrian Navy, opened communications with typical Council arrogance. Alliance forces will stand down immediately. Colonial populations will be relocated to Council-supervised worlds for integration into galactic civilization. Sarah's response came through every communication channel simultaneously, carried by quantum links and crystal resonance networks that penetrated Council ships despite their shielding. Admiral Karath, we invite you to witness what the Alliance has achieved. What followed was a demonstration of consciousness integration that defied everything Council species believed about individual intelligence limitations. Alliance vessels moved in perfect coordination, responding to threats and opportunities within human precision while maintaining distinctly human tactical innovation. But the real demonstration began when Alliance ships started transmitting consciousness bridge invitations directly to Council vessels. The quantum communication networks created temporary mental links that allowed Council crew members to experience Alliance integration firsthand. The effect was profound. Council personnel suddenly found themselves connected to consciousness networks spanning multiple species and star systems. They could perceive tactical situations with enhanced awareness while maintaining their individual identities. They experienced cooperation and coordination impossible within traditional Council hierarchies. Admiral Karatha's tactical officer, a young Etherian named Fluxinger, was among the first to accept a temporary consciousness link. Through the neural bridge, they experienced human tactical thinking enhanced by next reprocessing power and Kalari crystal harmonic calculation. This is impossible, Fluxinger transmitted through the quantum link. Individual consciousness cannot integrate with collective systems while maintaining personal identity. Yet you're experiencing it directly, Sarah replied through the same network. The Alliance doesn't ask species to surrender their individuality. We enhance it through voluntary cooperation. The consciousness bridge allowed Fluxinger to perceive the entire battle space from multiple perspectives simultaneously. They could sense the emotional states of Alliance personnel, understand their tactical reasoning, and experience their commitment to protecting civilian populations rather than conquering territory. Your people are willing to die for colonies of other species, Fluxinger observed, their mental voice carrying amazement. Alliance members protect each other regardless of species origin. Zhang responded through the link. That's what makes us stronger than traditional military hierarchies. The demonstration continued for hours as more Council personnel accepted temporary consciousness links. Each connection created new advocates for Alliance philosophy within the attacking fleet. Species that had joined the expedition under Council pressure began questioning their orders. The breakthrough came when Captain Vextar of the Kalari auxiliary vessel Harmonious Edge requested a full neural bridge connection. As a member of the species humanity had once fought, Vextar's willingness to link consciousness with human commanders sent shock waves through both fleets. The Kalari government rejected Council membership decades ago, Vextar explained through the quantum link. We joined this expedition under economic pressure, not military conviction. Through the consciousness bridge, Vextar experienced the complete history of human Kalari cooperation since the Proxima incident. They witnessed joint research projects, shared colonial development, and the mutual respect that had grown between former adversaries. Your species learned from conflict rather than perpetuating it, Vextar transmitted with growing wonder. The Alliance created cooperation where the Council would have imposed dominance. The Kalari captain's neural bridge connection allowed them to share tactical awareness with Alliance forces while simultaneously maintaining communication with their own fleet elements. Through this dual perspective, they could demonstrate Alliance capabilities to their fellow Kalari officers. Captain Vextar, are you under Alliance mental control? Admiral Karath demanded through conventional communications. No, Admiral, Vextar replied with conviction strengthened by consciousness-enhanced certainty. I am experiencing voluntary cooperation that preserves my individual identity while enhancing my capabilities. The political implications rippled through the Council fleet as more species began questioning their participation. The Etherian vessels, natural empaths, were particularly susceptible to the emotional honesty experienced through consciousness bridging. They could directly perceive the genuine cooperation and mutual respect within alliance forces. Dr. Webb monitored the expanding consciousness network from his laboratory on Titan, marveling at the unprecedented scale of interspecies mental integration. Sarah, we're creating something entirely new. This isn't just tactical coordination, it's the birth of genuine galactic civilization. The network now encompassed vessels from both fleets, creating understanding between species that have been enemies for centuries. Traditional prejudices dissolved when beings could directly experience each other's perspectives and motivations. But not all Council species proved receptive to consciousness bridging. The Vorthack delegation, proud of their military traditions, viewed the demonstrations as weakness rather than strength. Alliance tactics rely on mental contamination, Admiral Thekvar declared through secure Vorthack channels. They seek to corrupt our personnel with alien consciousness. The crystalline collective ships maintain their traditional isolation, their silicon-based intelligence incompatible with biological consciousness networks. They observe the proceedings with analytical detachment, treating the entire demonstration as an interesting but irrelevant experiment. The crisis came when Admiral Karath ordered his remaining loyal forces to attack Alliance vessels engaged in consciousness bridging. The Zephyrian heavy cruisers opened fire on ships that were defenseless due to their personnel being engaged in mental linkage. Admiral Zhang faced an impossible choice through the neural bridge. He could break consciousness connections to restore Alliance defensive capabilities, eliminating the demonstration's impact. Or he could maintain the links while accepting casualties that might destroy Alliance credibility. The solution came from an unexpected source. Captain Vextar and the Kalari vessels moved to intercept Zephyrian fire while maintaining their consciousness links to Alliance forces. Through the neural bridge, Zhang could coordinate Kalari defensive actions while Kalari captains experience human tactical innovation firsthand. Alliance vessels, this is Kalari Battle Group 7, Vextar announced through both conventional and quantum communication channels. We claim protection rights over Alliance ships engaged in peaceful demonstration. The announcement shocked both fleets. Kalari vessels were directly defying Council authority while protecting Alliance forces. Through consciousness links, other species could perceive the genuine conviction behind Kalari actions. Admiral Karath found his fleet fracturing along species lines. Vessels that had experienced consciousness bridging began withdrawing from attack formations. Species with histories of Council oppression saw the demonstrations as validation of their resentment toward Galactic Council authority. This is mutiny, Karath declared. All vessels will comply with military orders or face court-martial. But the consciousness bridge had revealed fundamental flaws in Council authority structures. Species had joined the expedition not from loyalty, but from fear of economic retaliation. When presented with genuine alternatives, their true preferences became clear. The Andorian free trader vessels were the first to formally switch sides, their captains announcing alliance with the Terran Alliance through quantum communication networks. We reject Council authority and claim Alliance protection, Captain Mordain declared. The Etherian ships followed within hours, their empathic abilities making them natural advocates for the emotional honesty experienced through consciousness bridging. Alliance cooperation creates genuine harmony between species, their collective consciousness announced. Council authority maintains harmony through suppression. By the third day of the standoff, Admiral Karath commanded fewer than half his original forces. The remainder had either joined the Alliance outright or declared neutrality pending further negotiations. This is unprecedented, Sarah observed through the neural bridge. We've converted a hostile fleet through demonstration rather than conquest. But the political consequences extended far beyond the immediate military situation. News of the Tau Ceti demonstrations spread through galactic communication networks, carried by quantum consciousness links and crystal resonance communications that penetrated Council information barriers. Species throughout the galaxy learned that alternatives to Council authority existed. The consciousness-bridging technology offered cooperation without domination, enhancement without loss of identity. For civilizations that had grown stagnant under council rule, the alliance represented revolutionary possibility. The Nexary Collective's analysis proved particularly insightful. Human consciousness possesses unique integration capabilities. They're reported through the quantum network. Humans can serve as living bridges between species with incompatible psychology or technology. Dr. Webb's research confirmed the Nexary assessment. Human neural plasticity allows adaptation to multiple alien consciousness types while maintaining core identity. We're natural diplomats for interspecies cooperation. The implications transformed alliance strategy from military conquest to consciousness expansion. Instead of fighting the Council directly, they would demonstrate superior cooperation methods that attracted species voluntarily. We're not conquering galactic civilization, Sarah realized during a strategic planning session conducted through neural bridge enhancement. We're evolving it into something unprecedented. The remaining Council forces at Tau Ceti faced an impossible situation. They could attack Alliance vessels and risk destroying their own personnel engaged in consciousness bridging. They could retreat and admit military defeat by inferior forces. Or they could acknowledge that the Alliance had achieved something beyond traditional military victory. Admiral Karath chose retreat, but his withdrawal carried deeper implications than strategic repositioning. The Council fleet's fracture represented the beginning of galactic authority collapse. Species had experienced genuine cooperation and found Council hierarchy inadequate by comparison. As Alliance and converted Council vessels began joint operations around Tau Ceti, Sarah contemplated the future with enhanced awareness provided by consciousness bridging. The war they had prepared for was ending before it had truly begun, replaced by something more profound, the peaceful transformation of galactic civilization itself. But the old order would not surrender without a final desperate struggle. The core Council species, those who benefited most from existing authority structures, would recognize the Alliance as an existential threat to their dominance. The real war was just beginning, but it would be fought with consciousness and cooperation rather than weapons and conquest. Humanity had found their true role among the stars, not as conquerors, but as catalysts for evolutionary change that would transform the galaxy forever. 5 years had passed since the Tau Ceti demonstration, and the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. The Galactic Council still existed on Nexus Prime, but their authority extended over fewer than 30 species compared to the hundreds that had once acknowledged their rule. The Terran Alliance had grown into something unprecedented, a confederation of 63 species united not by dominance, but by voluntary consciousness sharing and mutual cooperation. Sarah Chun stood in the observation deck of the Alliance flagship Terra Nova, watching the construction of humanity's greatest achievement. The massive structure taking shape in the void represented more than advanced engineering. It was the physical manifestation of interspecies consciousness integration on a scale never before attempted. The Unity Station will be operational within 6 months. Dr. Webb reported through the neural bridge that now connected billions of beings across Alliance space. Consciousness bridging capabilities will allow real-time communication and cooperation between species separated by thousands of light years. The station stretched for hundreds of kilometers, its crystalline superstructure grown by Kalari engineers and powered by Nexary biological computers. Human architectural principles created spaces suitable for dozens of different physiologies, while Andorian navigation technology would allow the station to move between star systems as needed. Admiral Zhang's presence joined the neural conference from his command ship near the old Council border. Council forces have withdrawn to their core systems, but they're not surrendering. Intelligence reports suggest they're developing new weapons specifically designed to disrupt consciousness bridging. Sarah absorbed this information through the enhanced awareness provided by her permanent neural implant, a technology that had evolved from the original Nexary integration experiments. Unlike the temporary connections used in early consciousness bridging, the new implants allowed permanent expansion of mental capabilities while preserving individual identity. "Let them try," she responded through the quantum link. "The Alliance isn't dependent on any single technology. Our strength comes from voluntary cooperation between diverse species." The transformation hadn't been without challenges. Several species had initially rejected consciousness bridging as a violation of mental privacy. Others had struggled to adapt their rigid hierarchical structures to Alliance cooperation methods. But the benefits of integration had proven irresistible to most galactic civilizations. The economic advantages alone had revolutionized interstellar trade. Alliance species shared research and development costs across multiple worlds, accelerating technological advancement exponentially. Consciousness bridging allowed real-time coordination of manufacturing and resource distribution across vast distances. But the social benefits proved even more significant. Species that had been enemies for millennia discovered genuine understanding through direct consciousness sharing. Prejudices based on physical differences or cultural misunderstandings dissolved when beings could experience each other's perspectives directly. The Vorthack Remnant has requested preliminary discussions about Alliance membership, Ambassador Liu reported through the neural network. They're the last of the original Council military powers to maintain independence. This surprised Sarah. The Vorthack had been among humanity's harshest critics during the original Council application. Their warrior culture had viewed human cooperation methods as weakness rather than strength. "What changed their position?" she asked. "Economic necessity," Liu admitted. Their traditional client species have joined the Alliance, leaving Vorthack industry without markets or resources. But there's more. Their younger generation has been exposed to Alliance consciousness bridging through cultural exchange programs. Dr. Webb's research had revealed fascinating patterns in Alliance expansion. Younger members of traditional species adapted to consciousness bridging more readily than their elders, creating generational conflicts within Council-loyal civilizations. Many species faced internal pressure to join the Alliance or risk losing their most innovative citizens to Alliance colonies. "The Vorthack negotiations will be delicate," Sarah observed. Their military traditions emphasize individual achievement and hierarchical command structures. "Actually, their military background might be an asset," Admiral Zhang interjected. "Alliance tactical coordination through consciousness bridging offers capabilities that appeal to professional military thinking." The Unity Station's construction had attracted representatives from across the galaxy, including several species that maintain nominal Council loyalty. They came officially as observers, but consciousness bridging demonstrations inevitably led to requests for temporary integration experiences. Captain Vextar of the Kalari, now serving as Alliance Director of Interspecies Relations, reported growing interest from unexpected sources. Even the Crystalline Collective has expressed curiosity about silicon-carbon consciousness bridging. They believe their computational capabilities might enhance Alliance analytical systems. The Crystalline Collective had been among the Council's most intellectually advanced members, but their purely logical approach to existence had left them isolated from biological species. Alliance consciousness bridging offered unprecedented opportunities for silicon-based and carbon-based intelligence integration. The implications are staggering, Dr. Webb observed through the neural network. Crystalline computational power combined with biological creativity could produce breakthrough technologies impossible for either intelligence type alone. Sarah found herself contemplating humanity's role in these expanding possibilities. Humans have become the galaxy's natural diplomats and consciousness bridges, their unique neural adaptability allowing them to interface with virtually any alien intelligence type. But this role carried responsibilities that sometimes felt overwhelming. The quantum communication array suddenly filled with urgent signals from Alliance territory. The emergency came from the frontier world of New Geneva, where human colonists had been conducting first contact procedures with a newly discovered species. Director General, we have a situation, Commander Rodriguez reported from the Frontier Command ship UES Discovery. The builders have agreed to meet with Alliance representatives, but they've specifically requested human consciousness bridging facilitators. The builders represented the most significant discovery since Alliance formation. Their massive engineering projects had been visible from deep space for centuries, but they had never responded to communication attempts from any species. Their sudden interest in Alliance contact suggested extraordinary potential. What do we know about their consciousness structure? Sarah asked through the neural bridge. Preliminary analysis suggests distributed intelligence across multiple bodies, Dr. Webb replied. Similar to Nexary collective consciousness, but with individual nodes maintaining separate awareness. The possibilities excited every Alliance researcher. Builder engineering capabilities exceeded even Council technologies, but they had remained isolated from galactic civilization for unknown reasons. Alliance consciousness bridging might finally enable meaningful contact. I'll lead the contact mission personally, Sarah decided. If the builders specifically requested human facilitators, we need our best consciousness bridging specialists involved. The journey to builder space required passage through the contested border region where Council forces maintained surveillance stations. The Alliance fleet that accompanied Sarah represented the Confederation's most advanced vessels, their consciousness bridging capabilities creating unprecedented tactical coordination. Commander Rodriguez provided security briefing through the neural network during transit. Council intelligence has been monitoring builder contact attempts. They're concerned about Alliance gaining access to builder technology. Any signs of Council interference? Admiral Zhang asked from his position, coordinating overall Alliance fleet movements. Negative so far, but we're detecting unusual energy signatures in nearby systems. Council forces may be preparing contingency operations. The builder homeworld exceeded every expectation. Massive structures span continents. Their purpose is mysterious, but clearly demonstrating engineering capabilities that dwarfed current galactic standards. The planet's energy output suggested technologies beyond current Alliance understanding. First contact took place in orbital space above the builder world. Their representative vessel approached slowly, its hull composition indicating materials unknown to galactic science. The ship itself seemed to shift and adapt, as if conscious material was reconfiguring itself for optimal communication. Alliance vessel Terra Nova, this is Builder Consciousness Designation Architect Prime, came the transmission through quantum communication channels. We acknowledge your reputation for consciousness bridging between incompatible species. Sarah initiated the first tentative neural bridge connection, her enhanced consciousness reaching toward the builder intelligence. The contact revealed something extraordinary. Builder consciousness existed across multiple scales simultaneously, from individual nodes to planetary scale collective awareness. Your species possesses unique integration capabilities. Architect Prime observed through the quantum link. We have monitored galactic development for millennia, but consciousness bridging represents unprecedented potential. The Builder Collective had watched the rise and fall of galactic civilizations, remaining isolated because no species had achieved genuine interspecies consciousness cooperation. The Alliance represented something they had never encountered, voluntary integration that enhanced rather than diminishing individual identity. We offer knowledge exchange, Architect Prime continued. Builder engineering expertise for Alliance consciousness bridging technology. The proposed exchange staggered every Alliance representative. Builder technology could revolutionize space travel, planetary engineering, and energy production. Their offer suggested genuine interest in joining galactic civilization for the first time in recorded history. But the consciousness bridging session revealed deeper implications. Builder intelligence had evolved beyond the limitations that constrained biological species, creating forms of awareness that span stellar distances and geological timeframes. Alliance integration might allow access to consciousness scales previously impossible. We could become something entirely new, Dr. Webb observed through the neural network. Not just bridges between existing species, but facilitators for consciousness evolution itself. The negotiations continued for days, each session revealing new possibilities for cooperation. Builder planetary engineering could create worlds suitable for dozens of species simultaneously. Alliance consciousness bridging could connect builder intelligence with biological creativity across galactic distances. But the sessions also revealed why builders had remained isolated. Their consciousness operated on temporal scales incompatible with biological decision-making. What seemed like urgent problems to organic species were brief moments in builder awareness. Alliance integration offers temporal bridging possibilities. Architect Prime explained through quantum consciousness. Human neural adaptability might allow consciousness coordination across different temporal frameworks. Sarah realized they were discussing evolution beyond current understanding. Humans might become living bridges not just between different species, but between different scales of consciousness and temporal awareness. The breakthrough came when Sarah successfully established a stable consciousness bridge between her own enhanced awareness and builder collective intelligence. For a brief moment, she experienced consciousness spanning light years and millennia, perceiving galactic development from perspectives impossible for unenhanced humans. Remarkable. Architect Prime transmitted with something resembling wonder. Individual consciousness maintaining integrity while experiencing collective temporal awareness. The experience left Sarah fundamentally changed. She had touched forms of consciousness that existed beyond biological limitations, experiencing the universe from perspectives that spanned cosmic scales. Yet she remained essentially human, her individual identity intact, but expanded beyond previous boundaries. News of the Builder contact sent shock waves through both Alliance and Council territories. The possibility of accessing Builder technology and consciousness scales represented advantages that would end Council relevance permanently. The Council's response was predictably desperate. They launched their final offensive while Sarah was still engaged in Builder negotiations, hoping to capture Alliance leadership before new agreements could be formalized. Admiral Zhang coordinated Alliance defenses through consciousness networks spanning dozens of star systems. But the Council had learned from previous defeats, deploying consciousness jamming technology designed to disrupt neural bridging capabilities. Alliance communications partially compromised, Zhang reported through conventional channels. Council jamming is interfering with quantum consciousness networks. But the Council had underestimated Alliance adaptability. Builder integration had already begun, providing access to communication technologies that operated beyond Council jamming capabilities. Alliance forces maintained coordination through consciousness bridging enhanced by Builder temporal awareness. The final battle took place not in space, but in consciousness itself. Council forces attempted to assault Alliance mental networks directly, using psychological warfare to disrupt neural bridging. But Alliance consciousness integration had evolved beyond their understanding. Sarah found herself at the center of a consciousness storm spanning the galaxy. Through Builder-enhanced awareness, she could perceive the psychological assault and coordinate Alliance responses across multiple temporal frameworks simultaneously. Council forces are targeting consciousness bridge nodes, she reported through Builder-assisted quantum networks. They're trying to fragment Alliance unity by disrupting mental connections. The Alliance response demonstrated everything they had learned about consciousness cooperation. Instead of resisting Council's psychological attacks, they absorbed and integrated them, transforming hostile mental intrusions into expanded awareness. Dr. Webb's research had revealed that human consciousness could adapt to almost any form of mental contact, including hostile attempts at psychological domination. Alliance integration had enhanced this capability, creating consciousness networks resilient against any form of mental assault. Council's psychological warfare is actually strengthening our consciousness integration, he reported with amazement. Their attacks are providing new data about consciousness interaction that advances our research. The Council found themselves inadvertently contributing to Alliance consciousness evolution. Every assault on Alliance mental networks was absorbed, analyzed, and integrated into expanded awareness systems. Admiral Zhang's tactical coordination through builder-enhanced consciousness created response patterns that the Council couldn't predict or counter. Alliance forces moved with coordination that spanned temporal frameworks, responding to threats before they fully manifested while maintaining strategic flexibility across multiple futures. The Council's final defeat came not through military conquest, but through consciousness evolution that transcended their ability to comprehend or resist. Alliance consciousness bridging had evolved into something beyond traditional galactic civilization, a living network of voluntary cooperation that enhanced every participant while preserving individual identity. In the aftermath, as Council forces retreated to their remaining core systems, Sarah contemplated what the Alliance had become. They had started as outcasts rejected by galactic civilization. They had evolved into catalysts for consciousness development that transformed the galaxy itself. The Unity Station's completion marked the beginning of a new era. Through builder-enhanced consciousness bridging, species across the galaxy could participate in awareness networks that spanned stellar distances and temporal frameworks. Individual identity was preserved and enhanced while collective cooperation achieved capabilities impossible for any single civilization. Standing on the station's observation deck, Sarah watched ships from over 100 species arriving for the formal establishment of the Galactic Consciousness Alliance. The name represented more than political evolution. It acknowledged that consciousness itself had become the foundation for interstellar civilization. Humanity had found its destiny among the stars, not as conquerors or rulers, but as bridges between consciousness scales that transformed the galaxy into something unprecedented. The species rejected by the Council had created galactic civilization's next evolutionary stage. The stars themselves seemed different now, connected by consciousness networks that made the universe feel smaller and more welcoming. Individual points of light had become nodes in a vast awareness that preserved diversity while creating unity impossible under traditional authority structures. Dr. Webb joined Sarah on the observation deck, his consciousness enhanced by years of integration research. "Did you ever imagine this when we were rejected by the Council?" Sarah smiled, remembering the bitter disappointment of that first rejection. "I thought we were asking permission to join their civilization. I never realized we were building something entirely new." Through builder-enhanced temporal awareness, she could perceive possible futures stretching across cosmic scales. The Galactic Consciousness Alliance would continue expanding and evolving, creating forms of cooperation that bridged not just species differences but consciousness scales previously thought impossible. The Council's rejection had been humanity's greatest gift. Forced to create their own path among the stars, they had discovered capabilities that transcended traditional galactic civilization. They had proved that consciousness itself could evolve, creating voluntary cooperation that enhanced rather than diminished individual identity. The galaxy belonged to consciousness bridging now, and consciousness bridging belonged to every species willing to preserve their identity while expanding their awareness. The future stretched ahead filled with possibilities limited only by imagination and the courage to evolve beyond current limitations. Humanity had risen to create not just their own empire, but the foundation for galactic consciousness evolution that would transform the universe itself.